Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the McGraw Report. I'm Harry McGraw, your host, and we're doing another Zoom meeting for 2021. This is 2021 McGraw Report, and this is going to be the capital offense edition of the McGraw Report, the capital offense edition, okay? Because we have had some serious capital offenses occurring in our nation this year. You know, I thought 2020 was a tripped out year, but 2021 is starting off kind of crazy, okay? It's really surprising a lot of people. January 6th of this year, 2021, was a day that will go down in infamy here in the United States history. This is a historic day because the president decided to have a rally and excite people that support him to storm the Capitol and take the government over. It was an attempted coup that went on January 6th, and they accomplished a large portion of that mission by breaching the Capitol grounds. They actually got into the Capitol. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, let me see if I could come up with some kind of song for this. Is there some kind of music that I could play? I don't know. Let's see. It might be something I could play. Let's see. This is the McGraw Report, 2020 edition. 2021 edition. 2021. Okay. Yeah, this is the 2021 capital offense edition of the McGraw Report. I'm Harry McGraw, your host, and today I'm going to have my political guru chime in. Hopefully he can chime in today, Mr. William Riley. He's the political analyst on the Kendall Moore Show, 1690 here in Chicago radio show. And he's been a guest on the show before. We've talked politics before, so I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say if he can make it in. But let's just get into it right now, you know, because I tell you, America is it's being tested. America is being tested right now. And there are a lot of things that we can look at leading up to this that was clear to see. I mean, it was clear to see, you know, if you go all the way back from Charlottesville to some of the tweets that's been going on, all the way to the rallies, and then the rhetoric of the election being rigged and stolen, and all of the misinformation campaigns that's been going on, you could see this coming. You could really see this coming. Anybody that was on social media for the last 6 months could see it coming. It was that crystal clear. And so it's really a bad look right now. You know, Twitter has canceled, you know, the president's account, period. Just canceled his account because he was just putting stuff out there that, you know, we all knew was false, but he kept doing it. And, you know, when he went to the point of inciting a riot and, you know, caused these domestic terrorists to raid the Capitol building, that was enough. That was enough. Okay, you got Republican senators now, Republican Congress people saying, I can't take it no more. That's it. This is just crazy. We can't keep doing this. I'm done. I can't go on anymore. So I tell you, this country is at a crossroads right now. The sedition that was performed on January 6th, not only was it treasonous, it was criminal. And, you know, there are people right now talking about invoking the 25th Amendment, which would require the vice president to basically acknowledge that the president is no longer fit to serve and that he will be taking over the government. Now, Mike Pence don't seem like he want to go that route. He's been kind of cowardice throughout this whole thing, but he did stand up at least to do his job and say that he was not going to declare all of the electoral college ballots invalid, and he was not going to participate in stealing away the votes of the American people. He was just not going to be involved in that. And, you know, I don't know if he was just looking out for his own future or he just finally grew a pair. I don't know, but, you know, it was a good thing that he did because they were able to actually go through this ceremonial process of certifying all 50 states and declaring Joe Biden the president-elect officially. And so on January 20th of this year, he will be sworn in as the 46th president of the United States. Now, in the meantime, you know, as I'm doing this video, it's still a few days left before Trump has to leave. Still a few days. I think it's officially 11 days. And I'm trying to stay as current as I can with my shows, trying to stay up on some of the latest information that's going on. But to be honest with you, by the time this hits the airwaves, something else probably will have happened. The attempted coup of the white supremacists and Proud Boy groups that, you know, came out, the white nationalists that came out on January 6th, it had a lot of violence involved in it. It was not a protest at all. It was more of an insurgence. People died on that day. People died. As of right now, 5 people have died. One woman was shot trying to breach the grounds. She was shot by, I believe, Secret Service. I'm not exactly sure who it was, but she was shot in the neck, and she died from those wounds. Also, one of the security guards that protects the Capitol building was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher, just beaten to death. And yeah, so he died, and there was a lot of outrage about that. So there was a lot of violence that went on. So we're gonna see where we go from here. So I'm gonna get my buddy William Riley from the Kendall Moore Show to chime in. And we're gonna talk a little bit about this. See if I can get him on the line. Where you at, bro? Where you at, bro?
Hey, what's up, Harry?
There he is. There's my guy.
What's up, man? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Let me introduce you. This is Mr. William Riley from the Kendall Moore Show. William Riley, my political strategist and professional here on the McGraw Report, chiming in 2021. How you
Hey,
doing,
hey.
brother?
I'm
What's
doing good, man. Yep. What up? What up?
well,
Happy
I'm
New
so
Year.
glad you was able to chime in today because we
Uh-huh.
definitely need to hear some of your views. Last time I had you on the show, we were encouraging people to vote.
Mm-hmm.
People went out and voted, and a lot of changes has occurred since January 6th. We got a couple
Yep.
of new senators in Atlanta now, and the Congress is now in the hands of the Democrats. But what was that Capitol breach? Okay, this is the capital offense edition, okay, of the McGraw Report.
Yeah.
I really see a capital offense here. That was a
Okay.
capital offense that I saw.
A capital offense. Capital offense. I agree. I agree with you. It all started with of course, the Donald Trump speech entitled "Go Ahead, Donald. Tell them how you really feel,"
How you really
because
feel?
that's what it really was. If you really watched the speech for that whole hour, he was ranting and raving about from beginning to end his presidency and how people who show he mentioned Oprah, he mentioned a few other people. He was on their show. He was friends with them. They no longer friends with him, and he did all this stuff. And then he started raging against his own party, and it was like, oh man. So as I'm listening to it, I've watched it like 3 times. It was like he was hyping them up into a frenzy, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we got the result that we got 2 days ago.
Yeah. There were officially 5 people that died.
Mm-hmm.
One young lady was shot by, I think, Secret Service in the neck for trying to breach the grounds, and one of the security guys was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher.
Yep.
It was a lot of violence involved, and I believe that people are now looking at the situation with Donald Trump a little differently. I think some Republicans are starting to finally see the light.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I think they saw light a long time ago, but you have to understand he had the seat. And as far as they were concerned, they had the seat. I think what they were trying to do, because Donald Trump is not a traditional politician. He did not come up through the ranks with the same resources and with the same with the same connections. You know what I mean? So I think they tried to work with him and basically mold him into a presidential figure, and it failed. They realized you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and that's what happened.
Yeah, they bet on the wrong horse that time. I absolutely agree. It makes me think about when they were running, and Hillary Clinton tried to tell them, this guy's thought processes are way different than what you think he should be thinking. I mean, he's not the usual cat. But this whole situation with Mike Pence being able to certify as in more of a, I guess there would be more of a ceremonial thing. The whole situation was ceremonial on January 6th. The states have already certified the election. So what do you think was the real message that was being sent out here? Because it was a clear-cut contrast between what the provocateurs were doing on January 6th and maybe what Black Lives Matter people was doing when they went to the Capitol. It was a contrast.
Here's the thing with that. To me, what I saw, what they did to the Capitol, without a doubt, was equal to Al Qaeda or ISIS. It was the same thing, but it was inbred terrorism, and he provoked it. That's what I saw.
Domestic terrorism.
Domestic terrorism. They did in those few hours what our enemies outside the country would love to do. And it was all manipulated. It was all manipulated by Putin. Putin has spun his web. And that's what it comes down to. And a lot of people don't realize that their strings were being pulled. So unfortunately, we had that situation, I was really speechless. There was nothing I could really say. He wanted Mike Pence to reject the certification and send it back to the states. And the thing is, Mike couldn't do that. He did not have Vice President Pence. He does not have the power to do that. Once it's been confirmed by the states in the electoral voting process, that's it. So he wanted to make the rules up as he went along, and that's basically what's going on. No president in the history of America, as far as we know today, has really pushed the presidency to the limit that Donald Trump has. He really has tested it. And the thing is, he didn't treat it so much like it was a formal organization. He treated it more like it was a mob organization. Exactly. It was just like he did. So he's got 12 or 11 more days. Hey man, don't do anything to let him push any buttons.
Right.
Or whatever like that. Just be cool. I know they want to impeach him. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but let's just be cool and let's not set him off.
Right, right. All right, people. William Riley is my guest on the McGraw Report. For those of you just checking this show out, this is my man, William Riley from the Kendall Moore Show. Let me make sure I got that right. 1690 AM in Chicago?
Yep. WVON, the Talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation.
That's
Kendall
right.
Moore Show from 6 to 9 p.m. We gets it in.
That's right. That's right. My man, William Riley, is one of the people on the show that you need to listen to. He's a very intelligent brother, and he has some great political views, if nothing else. I really respect it. Now,
I respect you, Harry. Thank you.
Let me ask you something, though, Will. Now, I'm looking at the way this went down, and I keep going back to some of the images, like when I saw people in the Capitol building with the Confederate flags, which was a desecration of that really sacred hall, and it started to make me wonder. There are a lot of people that still feel like we fighting this civil war. Do you feel like the Civil War is coming to an end finally? Because it seems like some people just can't let it go.
Well, the thing is, like we have come to realize, having the black president in office almost 12 years ago. Wow, think about it. The first black president, that racism never really left. It kind of covered itself up, especially in the South. There are people that are still that these traditions of the South and the flag have been passed along. Now, when you win a war, that flag is dissolved. In whatever country wins, that flag is supposed to be the flag that you respect. Well, it was American flags out there, but many people hold the Confederate flag as part of their culture. And we all know that the Confederate flag for black people, for any person of color, really, you were enslaved.
Exactly.
Even Asians at one point were enslaved. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So we have to really think about that, and how you got people they're out there still thinking 200 years or 150 years after this situation slavery has ended, and we got to try to solve some of these problems. It's not going to go away overnight. People don't change overnight, but we have to some way stop people from transferring those thought processes from generation to generation. That's really what it comes down to. Racism is transferred.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it's actually a learned behavior.
Learned behavior.
And when I saw on that particular day, January 6th, I saw how the day before the verdict came in for the cop that shot the brother in the back 7 times, getting in his car, no charges was filed. And then the next day you get your first black senator out of Georgia in Reverend Warnock. And, it's like the images are just so stark in terms of how black people are trying to get justice and how white people are kind of ignoring it, Right. But then when it comes to white people committing crimes, the way they stormed the Capitol, I mean, I had no I saw no resistance is in terms of the security. I mean, I actually saw people taking selfies with those folks.
Because they feel like it's theirs. It's more theirs than it is ours. Even though black people, slaves, built Washington, they feel like the very foundation in which the rules and regulations are structured is more is more enabled toward them. Here's the thing. I know the FOP president here in Chicago, John Catanzara, he said some statements a few days ago in regards to Black Lives Matter and what happened over the summer here in Chicago with the riots. But the point I make is this: it was really not the right thing to say, because the people who were upset and mad what was going on here in Chicago, they did not go to City Hall and break out the windows.
Right.
They didn't do that. Okay, and everybody was down there. It wasn't just black people; it was white people too. It was Latino. But they did not go to City Hall, any federal buildings, and break out the glass. When they did that in Washington, to me, that was like the ultimate terrorist attack. This is not the 1500s where the farmers are raising up against the serfs and the nobles. You got one guy who will not accept that he lost. And even if he did lose, whatever, you got to understand this. Let me be totally honest with you. The Republicans don't want him in office either, because he's not good for the country. I have to say it. He's not good for the country. He incites the wrong message. I tell people this all the time. When you're campaigning, because I campaign, that's what I do, I manage. You cannot say anything you want to say, and you got to make sure the message is clear and direct to a certain to a certain point, what you're trying to say. Somebody else will read your message the wrong way and feel like you're trying to start a revolution, and that's what they saw. That's what they heard.
Yeah. That's how they felt. And, with the emergence of Stacey Abrams and her Fair Fight campaign down there in Georgia, the way she organized and everything, they really felt threatened by that. I mean, we took a L when Stacey ran for governor. She lost, but instead of her getting angry and violent and trying to get people to turn against each other, she mobilized. She did it the right way, and she got people out on the ground, knocking on doors, and turned that whole election around down there in Georgia with those senators. And I'll be honest with you, I'm glad she did, because the results were still very close, even with all of that effort that her and her team put up.
Well, you know what she did? She had a good argument. She had a good debate. When you're knocking on doors and you want to convince people to vote for your candidate, you have to have a good argument. You have a good reason to persuade them, and that's all it was. It was really hard work, because there's a lot of talking involved, man. Let's be real. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of persuasion involved. So those people did not just Atlanta didn't just turn blue because it wanted to. You know what I'm saying? The argument was there for it to turn blue. Many people who are Republicans, they realized that this man should not have been in office. They accepted it because he was in there, and they gave him a try. It was a tryout. The 4 years was a tryout, but they realized during 2 years in, he wasn't going to make the cut. So that's why you had a lot of people like Mitt Romney. He did not speak at the convention. He did not want to be associated with him because it would make him look bad. The former president, George W. Bush, did not even speak at the convention. They're very quiet right now. You know why? The Republicans want him out as well. They don't feel like he's a Republican. They don't feel like he's a Democrat. He's really some type of radical independent.
Right. He's not either, and I think that they're starting to realize it more and more that he's for himself and no one else, which, we kind of always knew that, but because they were so busy stuffing their pockets while he was president, they didn't they didn't do anything. They just kind of looked away. But, I guess enough is enough at this point. So now we got the Biden-Harris administration coming in.
Yeah.
And this is this is a position that we've been working on for quite some time, to be able to get in this kind of position where we can have some influence. And Kamala Harris is going to have a whole lot of influence now that we have captured the Senate. So Joe Biden, it's time to, really show and prove, what are you going to do now? There's some things that we're looking for in terms of like the George Floyd Act and the John Lewis Voting Act. And, we're looking for the DC Court of Appeals and his, his U.S. attorney to maybe prosecute this guy. He picked the guy that Obama liked for judge. Remember, we talked about that
Right.
the last time. What's the judge's name? Arnold, I think his name is. But no, it's Merrick Garland. I'm sorry, it's Merrick
Garland. Yes.
Merrick Garland. He has the ball now, and it's going to be a real touch and go situation. But I really feel like he can go ahead and pursue charges on some of these people. I really do, and he's got a good case.
Yes. As far as the protesters, you mean the protesters?
As far as the president himself, once he leaves.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. That is something they said is a possibility. Will they do it? I don't know. Some senators are saying it's not worth it to do it, to even try to impeach him right now, especially when we only got 11 days left. They want him to just fade away into the sunset. And to be honest with you, even if they did that, I know there are rumors that he wants to try and run again in 4 years. To be honest with you, I don't think they would let him. I think they would find a way to shut him down. I'd be totally honest with you.
I think that's the motivation behind it, because once you impeach, you effectively can't run for public office.
Right.
If you're impeached. So even if he's out of office and they continue with the process to impeach, and they have the votes because they have the House of Representatives and the Senate now, they can ensure that we don't hear from him again when it comes to politics. So I believe that's the only real motivation, because like you said, we kind of short on time with him, So
well, you do know that he's not going to be at his own inaugural, or he's not going to be at the transfer of power. You're familiar with that, right?
Right. They've said that publicly. Twitter canceled his account. He's not coming to the inauguration, and I think President-elect Joe Biden is fine with that. Let's get on with the business at hand, because regardless to all the shenanigans and all the soap opera type antics that's going on, we still got a pandemic that we're fighting. We're over 300,000 deaths, and the country still needs help financially in terms of business and people needing stimulus money and all that kind of stuff. So, it's probably time to move on. You're right. But there are a couple of things that I'm thinking that may happen in the next few days. What do you think about him pardoning himself, though? How do you think that's going to play out?
You know what? That's just absolutely ridiculous. That sounds like one of those.
Is it possible for him to do that? Can he pardon himself?
I doubt if they would even allow that. Common sense should not even allow you to do that. Come on. That sounds like a dictatorship.
Pardon powers in the Constitution are pretty broad, though, Will.
It does not say he has the power to do that, though. He has the power to pardon others, not himself. You have to, that has to be like the Congress and the Senate. They generally have to do the judging. Like, they can impeach you. You know what I mean? So to pardon yourself, to me, that's very criminal. I hear that and I'm like, no way. Now, he can pardon all his other criminal buddies, which he has, but I'm going to pardon myself. I'm okay. Nah, I don't think so. I think they're telling him to do it so that he think he's free and safe, and then the next thing you know, hey, we're going to bring you up on charges. You can't actually do that.
Well, I think he's going to try it regardless. We'll see how that plays out. Now, when it comes to the breach of the Capitol, because this is, Capitol Offense Edition, the actual chief of police, the Metro Police Chief, resigned. What do you think is going to happen before we wrap up in terms of all of the lack of leadership with the security? The mayor did not get the proper people there to fight for, the National Guard wasn't called. Well, they were called, but nobody came. So what do you think is going to happen with this before I let you go?
Okay, I look for security to just be ramped up even more, and the National Guard just might have to be there on standby that day. So I do look for that. I don't know if they'll be visually in sight, but I don't think they're going to be far away. You don't know what might happen on Inauguration Day. You know what I mean? Even though he's not going to be there, he's still the president. President Trump is still planning on holding his own inauguration, whatever that is. So I think I think they're going to be in the area. And I think security is going to be ramped up, especially for Joe and Kamala. It's going to be extra. I don't know. Are they going to take the walk? I don't think they're going to take the walk. No. It's certain things right now that are just too. It's too hot right now, so I don't see that happening.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well,
I don't see that happening.
We're gonna keep an eye out for everything here on the McGraw Report, and Mr. William Riley is our guest. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show once again, brother. And I thought 2020 was a trip, but it looks like we might have to stay in touch a little more in 2021. Okay, my friend.
Okay.
It's positive. All right. Yeah.
Every year it starts out with something, right? But hey, let's work on getting rid of this virus. Let's work on being kind to each other. I say this all the time. Let's work together and solve these problems. We can do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This is William Riley of the Kendall Moore Show. I'm Harry McGraw, and we'll see you guys next time on the McGraw Report. Thanks so much, Will. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, sir. Honor, privilege, and a pleasure.
Talk to you soon. All right.
Yes,